Okay, everyone. So, episode 8 of season 7, Pins and Needles. Good grief, this was another stellar episode. Now, at first glance, kind of like, what was it, episode 6 or maybe 7, I forget which one it was, but I said, you know what? I'm going to give this episode like an 8, but then there was one particular scene that made it go up to a 10. I think it was episode 6. If I remember correctly, that was the one that ended with the montage where Danny was writing in her journal, and I'm like, oh, stellar direction, stellar camera work. Mignon's voiceover was perfect, so it bumped it up a couple points. This was one of those episodes where I definitely felt like it was a solid 8, but after going back over my notes again, I really couldn't find a noticeable flaw with it. Nothing that made me go, ugh. Every scene was pretty good. You could argue the slowest scene of the episode was Danny and Sabrina over at Sabrina's house, but that scene was actually important due to one key line of dialogue from Sabrina relating to, well, maybe we're all just kind of growing apart in reference to Karen's secrecy about things, but I'll get to that later in the video. So overall, yeah, I think it was a solid episode. So for the third time in a row, 10 out of 10. And it does. I don't want to make it seem like I'm handing these out because if you remember my reviews for Zatima season 1, good. I need to go back, but that might be the season or the top season of any Tyler Perry show I reviewed where I handed out the most 10 out of 10s. But for Sisters, episode 6, 7, and 8 all get 10s, triple 10s. So like I said, this season could indeed be on the way to being my new top favorite slash best series or season of the series. But, yeah, solid episode. And I know a lot of people are enraged by Zach and the twin revelation and yada, yada, yada. But, hey, what you going to do? Now, before getting started, please take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Comment your thoughts in the comment section below on your thoughts on the episode. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description. And hit subscribe as we get closer to 280,000 subscribers. All these engagements on the video help out because YouTube will push it out so more people will see it. And trust and believe, your boy needs the views. So, this particular episode really set up the idea that this baby drama is only just beginning. Now, we start off with the sneak peek of Brenton, an old classmate of Andy from law school, pretty much gives her the rundown of, look, I found a lot of dirt on your boy Gary, but the thing is, it isn't about what I found on Gary. Let me tell you, it's the fact that I had to dig so far to get it. And I feel like that's going to lead to such a lot of potential blackmail that Andy could use against Gary later on in the season, which we do know because later on in the episode, she calls Fatima to say, hey, I'm meeting up with Gary at the penthouse because everything I've read on him, because I had the guy look into him, it could put him away for good. And I need to make it clear that, you know what, you need to stop messing with Jordan because I do believe that based on Britton's intel that he was able to find, he got the confirmation that not only is Jordan clean, that the allegations are false, but it was Gary that paid such and such a person to lie. So, man, this is not looking good. But, yeah, so it's always cool to meet up with people from their past, especially in college, because I know Ben was a character from season 1 who was friends with Andy in law school. And now we got Brenton, and he's a former classmate from law school. But before he leaves, you know, he basically tells Andy about, look, hey, you know, make sure you get away from this dude. And Andy's like, I want to get away from him forever. And yeah, so Brenton heads out and we get to Andy dealing with the heavy news that was just dropped on her desk. And Fatima comes in to tell her about a new client, but you know, Andy's like, no, I'm busy. And then Miss Marie just steps up and, you know, she just fills up the room with her personality, living up to the character description from Actors Access that she gives off the air of like Felicia Rashad and Jennifer Lewis in terms of her big personality and commanding persona. Now, she basically mentions that, look, I've had a husband for 15 years. He's had his fun. I'm ready to give him the boot. And I'm looking for a lawyer. And it turns out she had breakfast with Jordan earlier that day because it turns out she was one of his early, endorsers for his campaign. And after the allegations broke, he's like, look, I need to talk to this boy to make sure he's not wasting my endorsement money. So it turns out that during their breakfast, she was able to tell he was telling the truth because she's a seemingly good judge of character, knowing how to spot a liar when she sees one just by looking at their eyes. So she does mention, like, I was going to rip him a new one, but I think that, since you're his woman, I'm pretty sure you did it far better than I could. And Andy's like, yeah, we had a very in-depth conversation about it, right? And because she does say, like, I don't think I can deal with a lawyer who wouldn't be able to do something like that. Yeah, we had a very in-depth conversation about it. I'm thinking, like, you freaking liar. You didn't have a conversation. Jordan wanted to have a conversation, but you ignored his phone calls, over 20 phone calls. And then when he approached you in the parking garage about it, again, it wasn't a conversation about it. You basically talked about how you felt about it. Oh, I'm embarrassed. People are looking and whispering and stuff. She didn't even give him the benefit of the doubt that this wasn't true. Barely didn't even listen to him explain that he doesn't even know this girl and that it's a lie and that, his team is trying to clean up the PR nightmare this is. But, no. And then later in the episode when he called her and she actually decided to answer, and probably because Fatima and Karen were both like, why don't you hear him out? He's like, look, I need you to be with me through this. And she was like, I need clarity. So no, you didn't talk about it. But simply put, she hasn't decided yet if Andy is the lawyer that she wants to represent her in the divorce settlement. It's the fact that Jordan actually highly recommended Andrea Barnes to Mrs. Willis, showcasing that this trifling heifer who wouldn't even stand by her man or at the very least hear him out because she was so worried about her career, she just got the big fish that Gary was recommending to Hayden. So, sheesh. So from there, we switch over to Hayden, who shows up to work. And he's mad that he's like, why am I getting patted down to get into my own office? And it turns out Mrs. Willis rolls with a security detail. And Fatima, who's listening outside of the office to make sure the meeting goes well, rushes over to Hayden. And, he's like, well, what's going on? And then, as they're coming out of the office, Hayden tries to introduce himself like, look, I ain't got time for no sales pitch. Andrea, I'll talk to you soon. So basically, Hayden wants to know how in the world Andy managed to scheme or manipulate a situation to the point that somebody on the level of Mrs. Willis would come knocking on her door. And then, they pretty much taunt him. It's like, look, we told you, Hayden, you're not getting partner. It ain't going to happen. And unlike you, I don't need to scheme and whatnot. I got people, look out for me. It's like, no, you got people who you sleep with who try to get on your good side by doing you these monumentous favors. So no, but whatever. So from there, Hayden walks off defeated like a like a dog with his tail between his legs. But we have, you know what, kind of going back, Fatima like teasing Hayden when he comes into the office. It's kind of like the toxicity between these two. It's turned into like it's like a brother-sister dynamic. They kind of argue back and forth like siblings and tease each other. And I'm here for that. That's what makes Hayden such a likable character. When you have these moments where it's like, I'm going to get you. It's like, nah, you ain't nothing but a punk. Come on, we told you, you ain't going to win. I love it. It's great dynamic and chemistry between the characters. Also, we have Andy and Fatima talking. And Fatima brings up the DNA test stuff. And Andy lets her take off work early so she can go. And the funniest part of the episode was Fatima and how quickly she rushed to her desk to grab her purse, and she bolted out of that office to make it to the hospital. But speaking of the hospital, Sabrina is coming out from the back with a nurse, and it turns out that she actually got the procedure done. If I heard the dialogue correctly, 'cause I thought this was just, okay, so she had the over-the-phone consultation with Dr. Moore, but I thought she would go in for like a checkup or something. But no, this was the real deal. She had those eggs and embryos, removed. And she sees Karen sitting and talk. Oh, wait, no. Karen comes in as Sabrina's coming out. So they basically stop and talk. And Sabrina is like, wait, what are you doing here? Oh, checkup, but you just had a checkup. And then she manages to drag it out of Karen that she was getting a DNA test. And I actually like this because usually Sabrina will be like, oh, a checkup. Okay. Or if she tried to dig a bit too deep, Karen might get a little nasty with her or give her a mean look, and then she would back off. But no, Sabrina's like, no, there's something you hiding. What's going on? So basically, I did like the fact that Sabrina offered to be with her because she doesn't like being in the hospital alone. But Karen said, no, it's okay because Zach's coming. So she ends up leaving. But I did like this moment because like I said on Twitter last night, we rarely get any scenes of just Karen and Sabrina interacting, but season 7 is definitely making up for it, and I'm here for it. I really like it. So, from there, Zach actually shows up to the hospital. He's running a little late, but he did grab Karen some food because he felt like they might be there a while. And I think I don't think this was doing too much. I feel like he was being considerate because I feel like part of him was also thinking about how, oh wow, I didn't know that a DNA test required Karen to go through like getting needles and stuff like that. So he just went out of his way to get her something to eat, which again I felt like was fine. Also, I think it was an interesting callback because remember when Karen was trying to cash in on Zach's promise to help with the salon. The inspector said he would come by the shop. Can we meet up early in the morning? Hey, I could pick you up your favorite, breakfast. I remember the biscuit you like. And he's like, oh no, I'm good. But yeah, the fact that he brought her food, I think was an interesting callback. So these two kind of sit there and it's almost some chemistry there because it's like, they dated 3 years. So when Zach takes the form, it's like, man, what are you doing for filling out my form like my information? Well, first of all, you were late. I didn't know how long it would take for you to come, so I figured that I might as well do what I have to do because I probably have more of a knowledge over your information than you do. I thought that was pretty interesting, but I know as soon as I saw that scene, I'm like, the Zatima fans ain't gonna like that. But then the conversation shifts gears to, wanting the drama to end and like the baby. Zach tries to, lighten up the mood. Like, you know what, for your sake, if the kid comes out, I hope little Zach, Zach Jr. doesn't have a head as big as mine because, and then she kind of cracks up and then, he rubs on the belly and then they're laughing and giggling and whatnot. And Fatima rushes in and sees this. It's like, oh shit. And then she comes in and the tension is automatically switched on. It went from light levity between Karen and Zach to hey baby, how you doing? What are you doing here? Actually I came to support my man because I know he's afraid of needles. But then again, it's kind of weird because how would Fatima even know about that? Because but then again, maybe because when it came to Michael, all that she did was swab Zach and Michael. So how would she know that Zach would need support with the needle? Because Zach didn't even know about getting his blood drawn until after he arrived and Karen told him. So I don't know. But regardless, Fatima's like, Karen's like, well, I thought it was supposed to be just me and Zach. So I really don't know what the basis behind that was. Apparently Zach off screen told Fatima she can come if she wanted to, but I don't know. Zach was kind of caught in the middle there, but the nurse comes to the nurse comes from the back basically saying like, okay, we got everything we need. And then they're like, oh, okay, so we got what, Zarin here? Oh, no, it's not Zarin. Because it was Zach and Karen and she was kind of giving them a shipping name. And I'm like, oh, was that a nod to the fans for making that name? Pam, I think made that same reference last season outside the salon. Oh, look at Zarin. It's like, no, come on, you need to stop. But they do ask like, wait, so I'm getting tested and Zach's getting his blood drawn. Are we going to be in separate? You're in 2 separate rooms. So we just need to get a quick blood sample from him. Okay, good. So in the back, Fatima apologizes for just popping up. And I don't know how I feel about it. Originally I'm like, yeah, if she wants to come, she has every right to, because even though she's not his wife, that's, her fiance, and she's right. This whole baby thing will impact them both. So I don't see, and if Karen is so show that Zach is the dad, she shouldn't have anything to worry about if Fatima does want to come and see the results, because guess what? Fatima's going to find out about him one way or another. So why not let her come? But in any case, it's like, she apologized for popping up without warning, but it's like, should she apologize for that? Zach, was he acting too friendly with Karen? I don't know. Like some people take him rubbing the belly to be way too much like the way he was running and crying and hugging on her after, it turned out she was alive when the salon burnt down. So I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I've never been in this situation. Lord knows I pray I'm never in a situation where I got an ex knocked up and I'm engaged to someone else. Is Zach rubbing on the belly too much? But I mean, if that is his, well, maybe, I feel like if there was confirmation beforehand that it was his child, him rubbing the belly, hey, that's his child. He's loving on the child. But I don't know. I feel like this is a sticky situation. I feel like Zach does some stuff where it's like, Zach, man, I rock with you, but I don't think you should be doing that. Because, I mean, like I said, the food thing I felt was reasonable. But, you acting guilty, like you got your hand caught in the cookie jar when Fatima rolled up, kind of shows that, okay, maybe you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing. Because if the tables were turned and let's say, well, we kind of saw what happened in Zatima when this happened. Let's say Fatima was interacting with Paul in a friendly manner like that, and Zach rolled up. You think he wouldn't give in his feelings about it? And Fatima wasn't doing anything wrong. She was like laughing at one of his jokes or putting her hand on his shoulder. Oh man, that would be crazy. But yeah, so Fatima apologizes, and we get a funny, thing about Zach being afraid of needles when the nurse comes in and he's acting like a kid. I'm thinking to myself, I bet if Michael was getting a shot or something, he wouldn't react like that. So we get Karen in the back with Dr. Moore, and I ain't gonna lie, because I tweeted last night, I'm like, come on now, I ain't gonna lie. When I was in 4th or 5th grade, I acted like Zach when it came to getting a flu shot at school, but I got a root canal a few years ago, didn't even flinch. But Lord have mercy, when Dr. Moore pulled out that long ass needle for Karen, I was like, whoa, I gotta admit, I cringed. Like, I know this is TV. I know this is a fake baby bump, and I know that Ebony isn't really getting pierced by that thing, but damn. Even I felt bad for, look, I ain't the biggest Karen fan, but even I felt bad for Karen. Like, you know what? Say, Karen, as long as you don't stir the pot or cause any drama or go over to people's houses unannounced, wait to take the DNA test until after you're born. I mean, the babies are born. But maybe it was a good thing things worked out the way they did, because guess what? She found out she was having twins. But it's interesting because the doctor, and I ain't gonna lie, I loved how Ebony acted in this scene, because Karen was on point by her reaction to the doctor. It's like, look, don't say or oh. It's like you tell me straight what's going on. Because I was a bit confused when the screen was turned around and Karen didn't automatically say, wait, is that 2 babies? Because did she think it was like a double screen where it was like a dual screen showing the same thing twice? I'm like, I think anybody could look at that and say, wait, there's 2, not 1. So, yeah, she's having twins, and she's like, it's a blessing. And to be honest, aside from the multiple baby daddy thing, possibly, I think that my heart goes out to mothers, or, well, not just single moms, but couples who are dealing with the twin thing. I mean, if the girl is pregnant and you're not giving up the kid for adoption or terminating the child, like you're really okay, you know what, we did what we did, the kid's coming, so we need to adjust, and money is hard to come by, and you find out you're having twins. Good Lord, that is a lot. I mean, like, if you're I don't care if you're financially stable, it's going to be a lot of money raising 2 kids at once. But at the same time, yeah, it is it kind of sucks. I mean, Karen, her business is almost going belly up. Now she has 2 kids to deal with, but I mean, well, just gotta wait and see who the dads are, or dad is. But yeah, it's a lot to take in. And she mentions how it's 2 sacks, and people are like, it's fraternal, yada, yada, yada. Look, I'm sorry. The chat last night turned into like a science class. But yeah, it's really crazy. It's really crazy. Okay, so there are just a couple more scenes to talk about. The therapy scenes with Danny are gold. Mignon, I love the writing and the way Mignon portrays it. The fact that, we're getting to know a lot more about Danny. And the fact she's not just, keeping stuff bottled up. She's going... I think her therapist mentioned, like, it's been a while since your last session. And I know, like, I love the way she talked about, the hardest part about therapy is like being consistent about it. And it reminds me of like going to the gym, or, going to the gym, you got to make it a routine. Or when it comes to dieting, you can't just like have 3 days without soda and then start drinking it again and then expect change. It's like it has to be consistent. But yeah, the writing in these scenes are great. And Danny talked about the whole thing about being a potential stepmom and, the fears of like, what if the kids don't like me, or what if we break up and I get attached to the kids and then they're gone from my life forever. And then she starts referencing a bunch of movies like, what if the ex-wife comes on a yacht and we're married and, tries to shoot us, and like, that's acrimony. And then she makes reference to like The Parent Trap and a bunch of other films. But yeah, these therapy scenes are great, which leads to the scene at Sabrina's apartment where Danny and Sabrina are just talking about their guys and their things like that. And the fact that, Sabrina just had the operation done, and, they talk about how their partners are really great at sex. But at the same time, she brings up the Karen situation and the fact that the group might be falling apart because she's just still being so secretive. Because guess what? If I didn't kind of, badger Karen about the DNA test. Oh yeah, because Karen said she's just tired of being questioned. She wouldn't have known about it. And yeah, it makes sense. But then she said something about a double date, and I'm like, Sabrina, can you just get off that? Nobody wants to double date. And part of me thinks that she's probably wanting to double date because maybe she wants Danny to support the whole thing about having kids. Because think of it this way. Tony has 2 kids. And Sabrina just had the egg and, embryo thing done. So do you think this could be her way to, like, subliminally pressure Rich, and it's like, give it a rest. That's what I think. I think that she wants a double date to try to throw one. So, Tony, Danny was telling me your kids are in town. Oh yeah. I got a boy and girl. I was like, yeah. I just feel like that's her way of doing it. This is classic Sabrina. So, we got Aaron making a cameo on this episode, which took a lot of people off guard because the picture that was revealed yesterday showcased Zach and Karen in the hospital, but obviously that didn't happen in this episode. But he calls Pam because, hey, I know Karen doesn't want to have anything to do with me and doesn't want to talk to me. So I just figured I'd give you a quick call. I know it's been a while, just to check in on everything, to make sure everything's okay. And then Pam tries to push the roots to riches on him, which was pretty funny. And I think that he might be an investor. And then his financial investment could lead to roots to riches going to the next level. But Trey comes by briefly just to kind of talk about, hey, I don't have any packages, but I don't want to talk to you. Like, did I do something wrong? Like, why was Karen acting the way she was the last time I came? Like, did I push her too much about the baby daddy stuff? And, instead of answering, she basically makes a poetic justice reference, which I thought was pretty funny. And from there, we got Tamara looking fine as I don't know what. Her and Gary meet up at a hotel room. And it turns out that she had some sort of device that was like a pen with a recorder in it. And as soon as Gary left, she kind of smirked as she grabbed it and I think hit like the stop button. The question is, what is she planning to do with this? I have no idea. But if you rewatch the scene, listen carefully to the dialogue coming out of Tamara's mouth. She definitely framed the conversation in a way where she was a victim. Gary, why did you kiss me the other night? Admit it, you're into me ever since Hayden first brought me around you. All that hatred and whatnot is because you really like me. And then Gary was saying some things like, hey, that kiss, Hayden doesn't need to know about it. Us having sex, Hayden doesn't need to know about it. Next time I want you, I'll send you a horse emoji. Little things like that. She definitely framed the conversation in a way where whoever listens to it will be like, Gary, you went after my woman? I have no idea what she's planning. Could she be working with the FBI or something? I don't know. She did mention the FBI and the fact that, I don't know anything about that, Gary, that you're going through right now. So from there, we go over to, we're almost done. We only got a couple more things left. Gary back in his office, Hayden pops up unexpectedly. And Hayden, if you poor fool, if you only knew the Judas Iscariot that you're talking to right now. Hey, Gary's giving him attitude for just coming into his office unannounced. It wasn't like he was doing anything. suspicious at the moment, but the fact that, he's on edge because for all he knows, the feds could just come bursting in at any moment, but he's really giving Hayden a nasty attitude. Like, I don't know if it's because, man, I'm banging your girl. I ain't got time for your ass right now. Or maybe, again, he's just paranoid about everything going on. But, Hayden notices the hickey and is like, oh, how girls, oh yeah, you know how it is, a girl, when they can't keep their hands off you, leave marks everywhere. Man, Tamara does the same thing to me. Give me some. Like, bro, stop it. But he does talk about the whole Mrs. Willis thing and the fact that Andy has her as a now potential client. And Gary's like, look, I know her very well. I didn't sleep with her, Hayden, but she was one of my early investors in my hedge fund company. So what I'll do is I'll have a little talk with her to warn her about the kind of person she's dealing with. Basically, she's going to get a mouthful from Gary about how awful a person Andy is, and she's better off not doing business with her. So we got Andy going over to Jordan's place, and this was probably my favorite scene of the episode. The fact that Andy was jumping all over Jordan, kissing him. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. You hooked me up with this great client, and guess what? Your allegations came back clean. Yep. You didn't lie. And then Jordan rightfully told her off. Well, I wouldn't say told her off, but basically just called her out. Like, the fact that you wouldn't take me at my word is the fact that you had to get it verified. Like, you had Mrs. Willis talk to you, and then you just said that you had a private investigator look into it, and yet you didn't trust me. Andy, this is the world of politics. These allegations from that one girl could be the first of many random stories that look awful in order to ruin my reputation. And when I needed you the most, you folded on me. You abandoned me. So how do I know if another story like this pops up, you're not going to do the same thing again? I love this so much. It was this scene that made this episode a 10 out of 10 for me, because the episode addressed something that I was clamoring on about for the past couple weeks. Andy's selfish. She only thinks about herself. She was going to leave this man without getting any evidence, or basically not even evidence, but wouldn't even hear him out. Basically, she was only worried about her reputation, about her career, and wanted out. Oh, I'm not breaking up with you. I just need clarity, even though you literally told Fatima that I want to go break up with Jordan. Oh, yeah. Also, when Danny was talking about, I don't know if I want to be seen with Jordan right now in public, when Sabrina was like, we need to take it back to the beginning. No, I mean, not going out all with a group, but I mean, just me, you, and our guys going on a double date. But, yeah, I just love the fact that Jordan told Andy what's what. But right when they're about to get intimate again, because she does apologize, and she does say that, I'm sorry, it's like, we'll be better with communication, because obviously what one of us does impacts the other. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Jordan, what would you do if you would have known that Andy had an affair with Gary when they first met, as opposed to it just simply being Gary and Andy dating at the same time as your sister and him? And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, like, Andy has a bad reputation around Atlanta. You would think she would be in the news or whatever more about, wait a minute, isn't that the one that slept with Gary Borders because his ex-wife Jasmine was blasting her all over the city? Sheesh. Andy's a piece of work. But Jordan actually has to leave because he has a bunch of meetings and whatnot. Like, look, I'm glad you know the truth, but I need to go back to work because my team and we're trying to clean up this mess in the press right now. So he leaves. That's when Andy calls Fatima about, hey, I had a guy looking at Gary. I got a bunch of dirt, and I think I got enough information to take him down. He was the one that orchestrated this thing against Jordan. Also, why didn't she tell Jordan about that? Because she had the information. Because before Jordan left, man, the person who made up them lies against me must really hate me. Why didn't Andy say anything? She knows. She has the paper right there showing that Gary was the one that paid off these people to lie on him. I guess this is part of her plan, and maybe if she tells Jordan that Gary did it, that it would screw things up. I don't know. So basically, Fatima's like, look, let me get my blade and my sneakers, and I'm going to come over there. So they go over to the penthouse, and oh, man. So Gary shows up because he got called over there. It's like, oh, I knew you couldn't stay away from me. Oh, it's not even that kind of house call because Fatima has a bag. And then Andy's like, you know what, Fatima, thanks, girl, but I got this. So Fatima was going in on the first. Wait, you said you got it. I'm going to stand over there with the bag. And Basically, Andy just says up front, I know you're the one who started this BS story on Jordan in the news. You got that girl to lie. You got that cop to lie. No more. Leave him alone. And then when Gary just kind of stares her down and tries to say something slick back to her, or you don't matter to me, you're nothing. Fatima's like, do I need to reach in this bag? Fine, fine, fine. So Andy's like, well, you know, what about the FBI? I'm pretty sure there are some things that they would like to know. So then Gary finally backs off and leaves. So from there, she's basically saying, leave Jordan alone. And that's the episode, folks. That is my review. I'm done. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I love this episode. Three bangers in a row. 3 10 out of 10s in a row. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.